Hello and welcome to another Driven Catalyst live stream. Today is New Music Friday and we are going to talk about some of the singles that were released today / this week that I've been listening to, and then we are going to dive in and talk about the new Jensen McRae album and a little bit about Jensen McRae in general. Not too much. I feel like I said that like I'm going to be doing like a retrospective or like a biopic about... Is a retrospective if someone is passed on? I'm not speaking that energy into the universe. I don't like that. We love Jensen McRae. I'll talk a little bit about her. I'm going to read the album profile on Bandcamp is mostly what I mean. But then we're going to dive in and just talk about the music. So first and foremost, I have listened to about 5 new releases this week / today, singles wise. First being Miss America by Maud Latour. Maud Latour is an artist I found on TikTok during COVID-ish. And she had a song called One More Weekend that popped off, and her lyricism is just so clever and her voice is very Lorde-esque. So I feel like I've been following her since, and she just put out a song called Miss America today, I believe. And it was poppy. It did not disappoint. I really enjoyed that one. Next is a cover from Neil Young. It's a cover of a Neil Young song performed by Brandi Carlile. I have intentions of listening to that whole album, but it's not the album I am profiling for New Music Friday, even though it is indeed a new release. I was quite ambitious. My first New Music Friday live stream, I talked about 3 different albums. Today, we're just going to focus on Jensen. But I do hope to listen to the whole rest of the Neil Young cover album. I did already listen to Philadelphia, which is the Brandi Carlile cover. I'm a big Brandi fan. And it's beautiful. Not much to say, or I'm not going to say much about it. There's plenty to say. Next, At the Beach in Every Life from Gigi Perez. For those who don't know, Gigi Perez is of Sailor Song fame from TikTok, if you've heard it. Crazy day and age where these are just like monumental artists. So talented. And I have to be like from TikTok. But it is such a wonderful tool for marketing. And that is how so many artists are getting heard. So Gigi Perez of Sailor Song TikTok fame put out a new single called At the Beach in Every Life. It's beautiful. All right, and now the 2 viral pop sensations of the week. What Was That from Lorde and Addison Rae, Headphones On. I just got to come out and say it. I'm an Addison Rae girly. I kind of love Addison Rae. I feel like what we were doing with the previous album, golly, what song is it? To Die For. To Die For is just such a fun pop anthem. But there's such a remarkable aesthetic and tonal shift that is happening. And I just like love that the pop girls that are aging into being stars right now grew up listening to the same music in the car as me, and I can hear the influence. And so I just feel like Headphones On is such a campy, fun, iconic song, and I'm obsessed. And I love the aesthetic that we're releasing with these songs. Diet Pepsi, Headphones On. I almost said To Die For. Sorry, I like lost my track of thought and like became so aware that I could hear myself breathing, and it just became a lot all in that moment. That's what that whole moment you just witnessed was. But yeah, I just am obsessed with the campy, iconic, Britney Spearsy Y2K aesthetic that we've got going on. I think I'm all in on it. I think a lot of people are going to be all in on it, and I'm excited to see what Addison Rae does. Also so iconic of her to be performing at Coachella. I'm rooting for her. I'm excited for her. And then I toe dipped a little bit about Lorde yesterday, but What Was That? It came out this week. She did a performance in, is it Thompson Square Park? Washington Square Park? One of the parks in New York. Actually blows my mind that you could just go and witness that if you were there in New York. Yeah, very excited for the upcoming Lorde era. I feel like we are still in solar power a little bit tonally, and I'm excited to get away from it further. I know there's a lot of people that begrudge the fact that we let solar power kind of fizzle, and it didn't get the same level of love that Pure Heroine and Melodrama did. I love them all. I think art, it's hard. It's like picking a favorite child sometimes with music. I can very comfortably pick my favorite child in this regard, but it is like, it's apples to oranges with art. So I'll say that. But I do hope that I want a new era for sure. But if I had to pick what I hope this album is, I'm hoping it's more Melodrama-esque than Solar Power-esque. But yeah, Lorde is so talented. I know whatever we get will be great. And I do love Solar Power. She has her place in my heart. Melodrama and Pure Heroine, they have a place in my heart, my head, and in my automatic Spotify queue forever and ever. But Solar Power is safely stowed away in my heart. Okay, let's get into Jensen McRae. First, the background I promised. I discovered Jensen McRae when I feel like she went viral, popped off during the height of, I don't know, it's weird to talk about COVID and the pandemic because it is all still going on in its own way. And I never want to speak about things in ways that feel resolute when they're not, Anywho, so she made a TikTok saying like, this is, if Phoebe Bridgers wrote a song about going to get like vaccinated with your situationship, this is the song. Something along those lines. And then wrote just the most hauntingly beautiful, thoughtful, poetic. And then her voice is just astounding. She's so talented. Just absolutely blew us all away in a 30-second TikTok, however long it was. So that was my first exposure to Jensen McRae. And then she put the some people just go viral, right? And then it's like, oops, I went viral. What do I do now? She had absolutely the talent and the career ahead of her to back it up. So she wrote the whole song and released it. Boom. Phenomenal song, Immune. Go listen to it wherever. Now we are putting out, well, not now, but I guess that was my first exposure to her. Then I went and listened to the rest of everything she had out. It's all, God, I don't know, just profound. It puts a pit in your stomach. It's hauntingly beautiful. My Ego Dies at the End is probably one of my all-time favorite like songs just in general. It's like up there for me. That's one of her singles. So yeah, big fan of Jensen McRae. She is friends with one of my favorite comedians, podcasters, role models, superstar actors, cutie of the hours, Caleb Heron. And the episode with Jensen McRae is absolutely stellar. Go listen to So True with Caleb Heron starring Jensen McRae. And they talked a little bit about songwriting and her life. And I feel like I got to learn a lot more than I knew about Jensen McRae. And I'm kind of trying to remember what the point of bringing that up was. I do feel like I had a talking point, but it escapes me at this current moment. I just kind of learned how much of not an accident it is that she went viral. She absolutely has the prowess and musical knowledge to back up going she should have, if anything, we should have gone viral sooner. No, it's a beast. Going viral is a beast. But it's like no accident. She is just so profoundly talented and brilliant, and went to school for music, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Or at a minimum was like doing a lot of band practice. Is that? Pretty sure she went to school for music. They talked about it on the Caleb Heron episode. But so yeah, no mistake that she is as talented and as successful, I hope, as she is now. Okay, let's just talk about the album now. I don't know how, but they found me. We're going to do another. I'm going to say it again so we have a better soundbite. The album is called I Don't Know How, But They Found Me. It's 11 songs and about 32 minutes long, and it starts with The Rearranger. All I have written down for that is it is singer-songwriter goodness of the highest degree. It is so beautiful, and just without a doubt, and this was evident the minute she went viral and I first became introduced to her, she will write something in the most poetic, profound way. What I found with this album that I wasn't expecting is she has also mastered the art of saying things very simply. Sometimes I think with singer-songwriter goodness, there's a trend towards the dramatic, or things get abstracted in their expression. And there's a great deal of that too, which has its place. That is, frankly, it's kind of my favorite kind of poeticism is when things get very abstracted and you almost talk more about how they feel and seem than what they are. But then it all circles back to what they are too. I like the connecting of those worlds. This album is such an early, I don't know, I wouldn't say it's like early 2000s in vibe necessarily, but like, oh, the goodness of a poppy rainy day car ride song, things that trend towards ballady, but they're still upbeat. Colby Calais, Sarah Bareilles, that era of music, like poppy, comforting. Oh man, this is the Chicken Soup for the Soul album in a lot of ways. It's way less devastating than I was expecting. And I don't mean that in a boo-hoo, I wanted it to be this indie sad girl devastating album. I mean that, and it's just so reflective and let me see, I have a note further down. It's a lived-in vulnerability. And I think that makes it a lot more comfortable for car play and having it on repeat and having this sort of reflective tone going on in the background, which fits with the sound, in my opinion. So that is a little bit about the album and The Rearranger being the first song on the album. I just realized I didn't read the bio from Bandcamp, which we are going to do. Feels like now is a good time. Here is what is on Bandcamp. Jensen McRae could have been down for the count. The most profound choices of my life, she says, have often felt like things I did before I was ready to do, and I had to grow into them. McRae's songs have a way of giving shape to these leaps, cliff jumps, and trust falls, and on her new album, I Don't Know How, But They Found Me, Jensen McRae goes further than ever, evolving from a promising young artist to a fully grown songwriter and star. It's about realizing that you can't outrun and what follows when you have withstood what you thought might crush you, she explains. There are things that can happen to us, unthinkable, untenable things that threaten our safety in our own bodies. They happen and you feel like the only option is escape. In truth, the only way out is in, back into the place you've always lived. The home, with Jensen front and center, possibly leaving, possibly arriving, adorns the artwork for I Don't Know How, But They Found Me. You can leave the city, you can leave the lover, McRae continues, but you can never leave yourself. From the very beginning, fans have fallen in love with Jensen McRae for the sharp, evocative, and clear-eyed songwriting. An avid journaler, McRae has been breathlessly documenting her existence since she was 18. Her first album, Are You Happy Now?, was a mission statement for the artist who grew up an automatic outsider, a black Jewish girl from Los Angeles hell-bent on making folk music in spite of the world's attempts to box her into other more stereotypically Black genres. McRae looked to her songwriting heroes Alicia Keys, Carole King, James Taylor, Stevie Wonder to build a sonic world all her own. As her audience grew, and with myriad doors when myriad doors began unlocking, it became the record of my coming of age. But it was a quiet coming of age, one that mostly took place inside my own head. And there is a beautifully written full piece to read on Bandcamp, which I've linked down below. I would suggest going to read it. I just kind of fumbled my way through reading it on live. Sorry about that. I also feel like I'm getting really out of breath in a weird way, which I do apologize you're listening to that. But yeah, I feel like I love it when I feel something about an album or a piece of work, and when I go back and read what the artist has written about it, or kind of the intentional press release about the work, that I feel like it really does connect to my initial impression of the work. And I feel like, yeah, this idea of coming home and not knowing if you're arriving or leaving, because as mentioned, she's like holding bubble wrap in this home and everything is in boxes on the album cover. It very much is the sense of the album. It's reflective. It's comfortable, though. It is. It's homey and it's comfortable. So I also I don't know. She has such a beautiful use of words always. I feel like every ounce of media I have consumed of Jensen has been, I've been in awe of her ability to find the exact right words and be very precise in her word choice. And I'm very floored by how that translates to simplicity in this context too, and using precise language that is also simple language. That is such a huge skill. And it translates to that very comfortable car play kind of music. Sorry, I'm like tied up in my headphones. Weird. 1 second. All right, moving forward into I Can Change Him. This is the first song that I wrote down. Oh yeah, this is early 2000s rainy car bop, Colby Calais vibes. And then I have lyrics written down because once again, it's like, oh my gosh, Jensen, like you said it. You said it. So same old $8 cologne, same old he can't be alone. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? And then I'll go back to him. He'll go back to who he's always been. Thank you. Thank you so much. Someone needed to say it. I'm so glad someone with a gorgeous and hauntingly beautiful voice did so. The reflexivity of maybe I could change him versus maybe I could change too. Accomplishing so much with simple language and repetition. It's a skill. It's a huge skill. And I just feel like I can't believe how much she accomplished with a bop. Like, it's a bop in some regard. It's sad, of course. Like, if you sit and listen, you're like, oh my God, yeah. But it's like relatable and it's a bop. And she accomplishes so much. She's brilliant. She's absolutely brilliant. I have ridiculous. Jensen McRae, I love you. She's astoundingly brilliant. This is so simple and so poignant. So boom. Savannah is what's next. This was a single released ahead of time. Love this song. I have time-stamped 120. Jensen vocal quality, the building of stakes tonally and lyrically is something I've always admired about Jensen since Immune. Yeah. So this idea that we are taking, sorry, I'm like blowing out the mic and out of breath and everything is falling apart, but it's Friday. So all is well. This song is so strong. I love it as a single. I'm glad it came out as a single. Something that I feel like is very central to everything I have known Jensen to be as an artist and the music that I've listened to from Jensen is this like building of stakes tonally and lyrically, and taking something that is very plain and simple that we all did, like going to get vaccinated and building context and building this world around it. And then there being almost this series of lamentations and questions and taking a simple moment that seems like this like contained sponge and wringing it out and finding everything that falls out. It's such a weird, I don't know. I feel like she has such a way of building stakes tonally and lyrically, and her voice is just haunting and brilliant and clear and resonant in a way that that perfectly fits. I have some lyrics written down and quoted because I just can't not with her. So brilliant. You swore you'd raise our kids to end up just like you. Well, you're a false prophet, and that's a goddamn promise. Crazy. The rhythm of her lyricism is always my fave. Yeah, okay, I wrote this down. So the meter of I see signs from God and I tread lightly on the wire. You see him in the water and you try to start a fire. If you really pay attention to the pacing and the meter of how she has things structured, like, I guess in like a poetic meter sense, some songs like it's an easy rhyme, or like the structure of the rhythm feels like simple, and the payoff isn't as good. And there's a way to it, and I haven't laid it out on paper or marked it down and figured out exactly what the rhyme scheme is or what the meter is, but there's something very appealing about how she has Savannah structured, and I feel like it makes the chorus and the bridge also impactful, like all the more impactful. Okay, moving forward, I have Daffodils marked, asterisked. That means it was an immediate save. I have production is beautiful and simple, super subtle, back banjo-y picking. Of course, I cannot make it through a stream without mentioning Boy Genius, apparently. But like Me and My Dog has the very, very subtle twang of the banjo in the background. Daffodils has that too. And then this is something kind of just almost a note for myself. It's something I've been noticing in the music I've been listening to and liking recently that I haven't tried to put language to yet. And as I noticed it, I wanted to write it down and then try and Google it and find out if there's more to learn about it. But guitar, that's super warm sounding, but still metallic-y. Daffodils is a song like that. It's, as someone who plays very, very amateurly guitar and has a few guitars, I kind of like, I guess I'm more familiar, with how they sound different. Not more familiar. I just am familiar with how my particular guitars sound different. And so I know which one sounds more like this, the warmer metallic-y. It's almost like, it's like a jazz metal guitar, I think. It's like the Ibanez, or what are they called? Mine is a D'Angelico, but the Gretches are what, like the classic, like the beautiful, like violin looking ones that are actually metal guitars. Or yeah, metal, electric, that's the word I'm looking for. That's how they sound, I think. So that kind of guitar, jazz guitar, is that the right? I'm gonna look it up and I'm gonna learn. But yeah, love the sound of Daffodils. Multiple asterisks for Let Me Be Wrong. That was an immediate save. I have it marked down favorite on the album, probably. Oh, okay. And then I have a note, when an indie song could fit into a musical. That is like so specifically my vibe of music. I think what the word is for it is a ballady or a song. But yeah, I loved Let Me Be Wrong. I have it written down. This is like Avril Lavigne's What the Hell in messaging, but it's like folksier, a bright, crisp guitar song juxtaposed. That was annoying. I didn't need to use the word juxtaposed. In contrast to the warm but metallic-y sound on Daffodils. Sorry, I'm like actively falling apart on live stream. But yeah, so I really loved Let Me Be Wrong. I love songs that are like lyrically, I've been so well behaved and I just let me mess up. Because I feel like that's a sentiment I can relate to a lot in life as someone who's sort of a square that tries my best to do my best. Sometimes I'm just like, no, what if I was just messy? Can I just be messy? Can I just mess up? And I feel like a little bit, that's kind of what, if I remember correctly, Jensen talked about that dynamic a little bit on her episode with Caleb Heron. So I just naturally kind of relate to her lyricism and her perspective of things in that regard. Moving forward, Novelty follows that. Novelty is wow, I've made it through a lot of this stream without having the album sitting open, having the track titles and everything in front of me like I prefer to have. Novelty is the 6th track on the album, and I literally have written down, we needed this. But yeah, just the idea of like lyrically exploring what happens when I'm like not special anymore. I think those songs are important. Intro production reminds me of Soccer Mommy, Snail Mail, sort of the grungier indie rock. I say grungier, and I say Soccer Mommy and Snail Mail. That's, I guess, the wheelhouse I have to relate it to. But making use of the word grungier makes it sound like I'm saying that Soccer Mommy and Snail Mail are the most grunge of grunge music you can get. I want to be clear, I don't mean that. That's what I have to compare it to. Indie music is so funny. Oh yeah. Okay, so I've written indie music is so funny and how sharply relatable it can be in obscure ways. Like when friends roast you, they can roast you so hyper specifically. I feel like indie lyricism is so poignant in how hyper specific it gets sometimes. Like, I don't have any great examples, but I feel like if you know Phoebe Bridgers, you know a lot of her lyricism is so hyper specific, and it's like either you can totally relate to it or it becomes this crazy extended metaphor, and then you can relate to it even more because it becomes this abstraction of a feeling that you can kind of put all of your experience into. I say this, though, in this context because I thought it was a really funny, relatable, and universal thing to write almost an indie diss about someone with navy sheets. Indie. See, that's what I mean, where it's like hyper specific but it's generic enough for it to be relatable and widespread. I just thought it was funny. I love an indie diss track. That's not necessarily what Novelty is, but there's just every so often there's lines that are written so poetically, but if you take a step back, you're like, hey, that was a sick burn. Lucy Dacus has such a way of doing this. It makes me laugh all the time because everyone is always like, Lucy Dacus is so angelic and just incredible and so poetic and beautiful. And Lucy Dacus is so angelic and poetic and beautiful, but she has written some scathing lines like no other. I would hate to be dissed the way Lucy Dacus writes diss tracks sometimes, because she does it in such a profoundly poetic way. But it's like, if you really sit down and listen to what she's saying, she just robbed you of all your dignity, and you cannot say anything to backpedal out of this because she clocked you, and she clocked you good. I love it when indie artists do that. Yeah, that's kind of a tangent though, because in this, I just thought it was funny to be like, to make note of navy sheets. Because that feels like something that like I could see a TikTok go triple platinum on the For You page, where a girl talks about her boyfriend who has navy sheets and uses 2-in-1 shampoo. You know? Okay, I Don't Do Drugs is the next song. It is a jazzier piano ballad, strong vocals. Who's surprised? If you know Jensen McRae, you're not surprised. If you don't know Jensen McRae, you should know her, and you will learn very quickly that she has some of the most beautiful, haunting. I keep saying haunting. I think I probably tend to say haunting when a woman sings in a lower register. I don't mean anything by it. I find that it's haunting in a I cannot get it off of my mind way. I think it is just, it's my favorite ever is when like a lower vocal register like that. But that's not to say she doesn't have the range. That's not to say she doesn't get up there, and I am listening. Okay. Use of voice modulation. Yeah. Okay. So that auto-tuney sound that is now being used, it's used a lot for songs to sound almost gospel-y and rap a lot. There will be like little musical interludes that sound almost gospel-y. And that production element is made use of in I Don't Do Drugs. And I find it fits nicely. So I made a note of that. After I Don't Do Drugs is Tuesday. At this point, we are at the 8th track. 8 of 12, 8 of 11. Tuesday. Tuesday is a song that I have about 1 million quotes written down because it is one of these lyrically abstracted, profound songs. So without further ado, this is Jensen McRae lyricism. Me in heaven used to walkie-talkie clear as radio. Now it seems the batteries are running low. I need to tell you, it's so different when it's just someone who's almost out of breath saying it into a microphone in our office. When it is being damn near howled by someone who sings for a living. Sings for a living. Whew. Oh my God, the talent. The talent, the hard work, the determination. Then I have 102 timestamped, but it was just Tuesday to you. Insane. That is like the point of the song, right? This idea that like, it's very much like We Hug Now, that song that's going viral on TikTok from, I want to say Sydney Rose. Holy mackerel, I got that right. Yeah, Sydney Rose. Where it's, you're just thinking it's a small thing that happened. The world ended when it happened to me. That's very much the vibe of Tuesday, and I love it. Lyrics like Judas giving Jesus one kiss, maybe Brutus's hand slipped. Ugh, insane. Piano ballad again. This fits the indie song in a musical vibe, which again, I realized and clarified. What I think I mean by that is it's a ballad. And then I made a note that I Don't Do Drugs, followed by Tuesday, is just it's a beautiful flow. That's when we kind of switched out of guitar mode into piano ballad mode. Next, Mother Wound. Once again, I have written, loving you lowered my expectations is an insane thing to write, Jensen. Thank you for writing it. So many clever lines. Jensen. Okay, yeah. Okay. This is the first time I made note of the podcast episode. So true. Caleb Heron, Jensen McRae. And on that episode, they talked about like whether or not they always talk about on So True, because Caleb Heron is friends with so many musicians. They have this back and forth of like every musician wants to be a comedian and every comedian wants to be a musician is what Caleb Heron says or has noticed. And they have this talk about whether or not Jensen thinks she could do stand-up. And this song, Mother Wound, stood out to me because she almost has a couple stanzas where she does a setup punch. And once again, she does these hyper-specific, beautifully profound lyrics. And I feel like they are just a tiptoe away from being specific and profound in a hilarious way. It's just a different means of getting the point across in song form. So I have a note of that. So many clever lines. But yeah, go look at the lyrics for Mother Wound. There's like a series of she sets it up and punches, and they're so brilliant. Followed by Mother Wound is Praying for Your Downfall. I'm about to sneeze, so hold on. I'm going to not blow the microphone out if that does happen. Let me get a hold of myself. Man, the sneeze feels imminent, but I can't coax it out. Yeah, okay. So I have written down immediately, writing opening lines that rhyme with the song title is so awesome, just because I'm going into the music aware of what the song is called, right? And so then the first several lines all rhyme with Praying for Your Downfall. So then it's almost like I know the refrain is going to be something to do with praying for your downfall, and it makes it all the more satisfying of a payoff when we finally get to that line. This is a song about I'm no longer praying for your downfall, is the tone and the vibe, the thesis, if you will. This song is so good, it solidified the album as full of rainy day car bops to me. I have in quotes, cursing tough love from a good God. Love that lyric. Everything is reflective and clever. The vulnerability is there, but it's lived in. It's comfortable for car play. You know, when you play music in the car sometimes and you're white knuckling it and looking over your shoulder hey, y'all, I promise I'm doing really good. I've been having a lot of good days recently. This is not that. This is everyone can kind of sing along. It's accessible and relatable, but that's not to say that there's a lack of vulnerability going on. I feel like it's those songs that feel good. They feel like home. I just feel like it's a very comfortable lived in. But if you actually sit and you really listen and you really think, then it takes you to a time where things were maybe harder, things were rawer. But the actual points that she's getting across with each lyric are very reflective. And so it feels a lot safer. Oh, the sneeze. Hold on. This is so embarrassing. There's nothing quite it's nothing quite as demoralizing as waiting for a sneeze to come on live stream, and then I'm sitting here okay, let me mute myself so I don't blow out the mic, but in my peripheral I'm so what, I'm just gonna go through the motions of a sneeze. You're gonna see me dramatically sneeze, pantomimed though, because it's muted. No, that's so embarrassing. Okay, and then I have the quote written down. I can't make nice, but I can make it make sense now, and I liked that a lot. And then the album closer is Massachusetts. This was a single. I think that is such a cool girl move to put out your album closer as a single. I don't know how common that is. Maybe it's more common, but I saw it and I thought, Jensen, you're so cool. Releasing the album yeah. It's so funny when I say things and I remember my thoughts and then I realize I did write them down. So I was just about to repeat myself. I really love Massachusetts as an album closer in terms of content and sound. I like closing an album that feels very resolved with this song, because this song is very much I will always love you, but in a more pragmatic way, where it's okay, well, now I'm just gonna live my life, and every time I see your favorite video game, it's gonna make me think of you, and we're not in each other's lives anymore. I don't love you anymore, but you're always gonna be with me in life in that regard. Writing a song about that, I think, is beautiful and profound. Drinking game. Every time I say profound, go drink water. It's Friday. We need to rest up and relax. I love following Praying for Your Downfall with Massachusetts. Going from I don't pray for your downfall anymore into now every time I see this and this and this, I'm gonna think of you. We don't talk anymore. Hope you're good. I don't pray for you, that kind of vibe. So those are my thoughts on the new Jensen McRae album and Jensen McRae as a whole and as an artist, because I am incapable of doing these album reviews, I think, evidently, without kind of gushing a little bit about the minds behind the songs that I have come to parasocially be acquainted with as much as possible. But yeah, I think the world of her. Cannot wait for... Oh, it's crazy to say that. Just listen to a brand new album. I was going to say, can't wait to see what else comes out, you know. But I'm excited to watch her as she grows and releases more. This isn't just a fair weather fanship. I'm locked in on Jensen, is what I mean to say. So great album. Cannot recommend it enough. Really enjoyed the singles that I mentioned at the top of the live stream. I hope you have a great Friday and a great weekend. And I will talk to you Monday. Goodbye.